You ever been on a little ride called The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man? The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man at Islands of Adventure is the first of its kind dark ride simulator 3D attraction. It perfectly encapsulates the 90s aesthetic of Marvel Comics and Spider-Man, which is one of the many things that makes it so great. It's purely just the essence of the 90s Spider-Man comics. To me, Islands of Adventure's Spider-Man attraction is so iconic and so perfectly done that I think it's a classic attraction up there in the vein of something like Pirates of the Caribbean or Haunted Mansion. And when the ride opened in 1999, it was a technological marvel, no pun intended, and it still holds up so well today. Well, they copied it. And no, I don't mean Transformers The Ride 3D, and I don't mean Jurassic World Adventure at Universal Beijing, and I don't even mean the new Peter Pan ride at Tokyo Disney Sea. No, we're talking about a completely forgotten ripoff of the Spider-Man attraction at Islands of Adventure that also can hold the title for the coolest name of anything ever in the history of fiction, Tokyo Panic Cruise. I've been so excited to talk about this weird theme park thing for a really long time. But unfortunately, there aren't a lot of videos or photos left of Tokyo Panic Cruise, but I'm going to do my best to splice up what this weird anime attraction was and try to figure out how it worked so well and why don't we see a lot of anime attractions out there right now. So this defunct attraction, Tokyo Panic Cruise, opened a decade after the Islands of Adventure Spider-Man ride in 2009 at the world-famous Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, Japan. For those who don't know, the Tokyo Dome is basically like the Madison Square Garden of Tokyo. Most of the time it's used as an indoor baseball arena. This is the home of the Yomiuri Giants baseball team. They host a lot of international sporting events here. Mike Tyson fought here. Everything from Michael Jackson to Blackpink have done concerts here. It's also part of a larger entertainment district called Tokyo Dome City that was built up after the stadium was built, adding things like shopping malls, hotels, and even a theme park. Tokyo Dome City has a Ferris wheel, a bunch of flat rides, a haunted house, a log flume, and funny enough is actually one of the only locations of Taco Bell currently in Tokyo, Japan. It has a roller coaster that flies across the entire Tokyo Dome area called Thunder Dolphin, which is also a contestant for the coolest title of anything ever. Funny enough, Yokohama, which is nearby Tokyo, also has a random theme park in the middle of the downtown area. If I had a random roller coaster in the middle of my downtown, I would never work again. Since the Tokyo Dome was built in 1988, it's cool to see how slowly they've been able to build attractions over time, including an amusement park. In 2008, the Tokyo Dome City area announced 2 rides, one being a walkthrough of the Lupin III anime, probably one of the most famous anime and manga characters of all time, and something called Tokyo Panic Cruise. Now, we can't find a lot of information specifically about why Tokyo Panic Cruise was the ride they wanted to add, but it opened in 2009 and has this really wacky, cool logo. So besides being a Japanese anime ripoff of Spider-Man at Islands of Adventure, what really is Tokyo Panic Cruise? As you walk through the very colorful queue of Tokyo Panic Cruise, it's supposed to feel like we're in a futuristic anime transportation center. Turns out we're going to be doing a tour of something called Tori Mirai Tokyo, a futuristic anime cyberpunk version of Tokyo. Riders are greeted by a video and signs for the host of the ride, a half-robot, half-cat lady named Kara who will be giving us a night tour of Mirai Tokyo. I'm gonna start sounding like a crazy person coming up. There's fun signs everywhere in the queue and a pre-show video, fake travel brochures, and pictures showing different parts of the city and places we'll be going on the ride. We also have images of our tour vehicle too. Everything in here feels very kawaii, but also very futuristic and sci-fi at the same time, which is not really a blend of different themings that you see inside of theme park attractions a lot. More on that later. Then you grab your 3D glasses and onto the ride. Now here's where things get a little bit tricky because I did my best to try to translate what's going on inside of the plot and the story of Tokyo Panic Cruise, and I did ask some of my Japanese friends to help translate what's going on, and none of us can understand what's happening on this ride. The plot is extremely convoluted and I really don't understand what's going on most of the time. So we're just going to go on a very brief synopsis of what Tokyo Panic Cruise, the ride, is like. If you understand this ride, you speak Japanese, you deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. We start by entering a road surrounded by scenic artwork of Japanese skyscrapers and city streetlights. Overhead, there are glowing exit signs pointing us towards Asakusa. We pass under them and we cruise past more buildings and head right to our first screen section. Suddenly, Kara, our host, appears and warns us, with Doc Ock on the loose, this could be the most dangerous night of my life. And yours. Just then, she's swept away by a tornado, and our vehicle spins out of control through a futuristic version of Tokyo, and a howling sound fills the air as we are tossed into a dark corridor. This is where we meet our main villain, Hurricane Bao, a blue-jacketed wolf with electric yellow sparks, broken chains, and a Frankenstein-style coils for shoulder pads. We also meet his henchman, a robotic elephant and a flying robotic pufferfish. After a few wild turns, the elephant blasts open a dead end, and Kara swoops in with a magical umbrella to save us. We race through the city as the pufferfish shoots spikes. Kara blocks them and slices the pufferfish in half with her umbrella. In the final showdown, Hurricane Bao and Kara fight, flying through the Tokyo skyline and eventually crashing through the Tokyo Dome. Kara traps Hurricane Bao with her magical umbrella. She thanks us, and we end the ride going through this strange neon carnival. Now, I feel like an insane person for trying to explain what's going on this ride. If you're a fan of the amazing adventures of Spider-Man and Islands of Adventure, you can see a lot of the same tricks and a lot of the same movements are done on Tokyo Panic Cruise. Even things like Hurricane Bao having a glider similar to Hobgoblin. What's strange is that the Universal Studios Japan and Osaka also had their own version of the Spider-Man ride that opened in 2004, and Tokyo Panic Cruise opened in 2009. While Panic Cruise is original, it isn't as fleshed out or cohesive as an experience as Spider-Man. So a lot of talk online has said, why copy the Spider-Man ride? However, we do have one more copy we do need to talk about that opened all the way back in 2005. Curse of Darkastle was a 4D simulator dark ride at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. It's also the only time the Busch Gardens ever tried to attempt to make a ride like this. This ride had many of the same movements and beats as Spider-Man and Tokyo Panic Cruise, but it's now a haunted, scary Bavarian castle of Prince Ludwig. From what I remember of Curse of Darkastle, I remember really liking it, having a more variety of attractions to do at Busch Gardens, and I remember liking the physical sets a lot, and I liked the queue. But other than that, I genuinely could not tell you what the storyline or what was happening on the ride at all. Curse of Darkastle might be its own video coming soon because the facade and queue are mostly still there to use for its successor attraction, Darkcoaster. It's strange seeing Curse of Darkastle now with the fact that we have something like Monsters Unchained at Epic Universe, and how this was going for a very similar idea, just not as fleshed out. And it was certainly Busch Gardens' attempt to compete with something like Disney or Universal and making new, different rides that aren't just coasters. But if we actually have to make comparisons, Tokyo Panic Cruise has way more in common with Curse of Darkastle than it does with Spider-Man. Some of this has to do with the ride vehicles being a lot more boxy, a lot more uses of screens than physical sets, and the storylines are a lot less easy to follow than they are for Spider-Man. These three rides are definitely in conversation with one another, and specifically Darkastle and Panic Cruise. Not only for utilizing the same ride system and 3D screen technology, but for telling new and original stories inside of an entire attraction. And while we will continue to see this technology used for many more upcoming attractions later on, and Spider-Man definitely was the one that pioneered the technology, the risk of taking original storytelling on these rides is underappreciated. So let's go back to Tokyo Panic Cruise for a bit. This zany, weird, old, closed ride that doesn't make any sense. I can't stop thinking about it. Yes, the animation looks like Dreamcast graphics and some of the sets look worse than a State Fair ride, but I think it just being so strange, wild, unique, and goofy makes me like it even more. It also helps that the designs for the characters of Kara and Hurricane Bao are extremely distinctive and feel right out of an early 2000s anime. This ride reminds me a lot of animes like Sailor Moon, Space Dandy, and Bo-Bo-Bo-Bo-Bo-Bo-Bo-Bo. All these bright colors and futuristic designs encapsulate a goofier style of anime from that era. Both Tokyo Panic Cruise and the Lupin Walkthrough were taken out and replaced. The Lupin Walkthrough became a 3D theater shooter attraction called Gun Battlers, also one of the greatest titles of anything ever. And the Tokyo Panic Cruise became Panic Coaster Daaan, a multi-launch indoor coaster with very colorful theming and a fun way to count off each of the launches with projection screening of a bomb going off before you go backwards. However, with all the changes that were done to make it into an indoor coaster, just like the same fate as Curse of Darkastle, Busch Gardens Williamsburg, I still think I prefer the weird original storytelling of Tokyo Panic Cruise more than this coaster. All this old school anime theming makes me think about how awesome it would be to have more of a permanent anime style attraction somewhere in the world. I can't think of any kind of ride like Tokyo Panic Cruise that has this kind of style or theming anywhere. Even though there's only a couple of anime attractions out there, there's really nothing like this that's this original and strange and crazy. Universal Studios Japan has their cool summer anime overlay for the park, which brings different anime-inspired attractions, but only for a limited time. And Universal Studios Hollywood recently just did their Fan Fest Nights event, and the longest lines for anything were character meet and greets for the One Piece characters. And as East Asian popular culture continues to be the focal point worldwide, theme parks need to do the same with something year-round and permanent. And not just the rise of popularity in anime, but also the popularity of K-pop, pop mart, bubble tea, and more. An anime-inspired or an Asian futuristic themed land in a theme park feels much more in demand now than ever before. And who knows, maybe this could happen. We do know that Pokemon will be coming to the Universal Park sometime soon. A Pokemon theme park has been in demand since the Pokemon craze began in the 90s, and if we were able to create a Pokemon land that had the same kinetic level of Isle of Berk or Zootopia or Super Nintendo World, we could really achieve the ultimate Toonami Saturday morning cartoon anime aesthetic in a 90s retro futurism theme park. We do know that parks like Parc Spirou in France are getting a Naruto-themed land coming soon. And there's been an announcement for an entire Dragon Ball theme park coming to Saudi Arabia sometime in the future. And as strange as something like Tokyo Panic Cruise was, it's wild that we even had it in the first place, and I would love to see something like this done again. And it still has the greatest name of anything ever, Tokyo Panic Cruise. You can't help but turn your head when you hear that. So, what about you? Have you been on Tokyo Panic Cruise? Or what kind of anime-inspired permanent theme park attractions or lands would you like to see in the future? Comment down below and let me know. And remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more thoughts on theme park design.